Well, hello. Today I want to talk about Easter, as Easter was yesterday. And Easter has been interesting in my life because I grew up in a very church focused family because my dad was a pastor. But we didn't really do Easter like normal churches because the church we belonged to had decided that we didn't do like traditional church things. We would just do Sundays and then nothing really much else. And so, growing up until I was probably 18, we went camping every Easter, and it was with probably 10 other families and then other people around those 10 different families, and we would go to one of the southern states of Australia and just camp in the middle of nowhere, and it moved every so often. So, the first one I can remember was a place called Fee Fi Fo Farm, and there were like little ponies you could ride, and we would go see this tennis competition every year, and we would have a skit night where we would perform for each other, and we would have the same sort of menu. So you'd always look forward to the 3 days that you would be out camping, and there are always like spider scares and different sports and different activities. And I think 2 years, one of the older kids was into like stunt bike riding, and so he did all of these stunts for us. But then there was these two other traditions where you'd have the under 30s versus the over 30s cricket game and soccer game. And so when I was a kid, I don't think I was allowed to play until I was probably 12. But as the older kids got older and went over the 30s, they changed teams, and then the younger team would, well, like the younger people would join the team, and then the teams would keep changing. And you would have these hilarious rivalries between dads and sons, where there was this one family that had two sons and a daughter who were all very good at soccer, and the dad who was very good at soccer. And the sons and the dad would just get into these hilarious tussles, and then you would watch my family, and we weren't so good at sport, and we weren't so competitive, so I was just like, ha ha ha, ha, this is so fun. And my dad would be like, yeah, this is great. And you'd get a trophy at the end, and so at the skit night, the captain of each team would be presented the trophy, and there'd be some years that it would be very strategic and some years that were not very strategic. And so this year, because of the coronavirus, they didn't have that camp because it's kept going. I stopped going when I was 19, but it's kept going. And one of the main guys that who was the captain of the cricket team for ages, for the over 30s, he played in his own backyard by himself, and so he won the trophy this year, which is a little bit unfair, really. So, yeah, so for my whole life, growing up, Easter was this time where we would go away, and my mum would mostly stay at home because she didn't love camping. Oh, she came sometimes. In fact, one of my best memories of that camp was hearing my mum and this other guy laugh. And like the kitchen was down the hill and all of the cabins were up the hill, but you could hear these two just cackling, laughing from up the hill. And it was such a cool part of camp. And yeah, so we would go to this camp every year. And it was great memories, and it was great like looking forward to it. And I think we probably did some egg hunts and swapped chocolates and stuff, but we didn't really have Easter traditions. And then when I moved to Sweden does Easter quite well. And Sweden is Lutheran, like their state church is Lutheran. And so they had like this perfect balance of you'd go to a church service in the night and you'd sing Easter songs, and there would be maybe dances or something. But then the next day there would be like pagan inspired dancing, and then celebrations with specific food. And both Sweden and Norway were really good at having specific food for specific days. Like they had Semla Day, and they had Cinnamon Bun Day, and they had blah 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 Day, and then they would have chocolate cake all of the time. And so I've forgotten what the specific thing for Easter was. No, can't remember. But they had specific candles that you put out at specific times, and maybe I'm mixing it up with Christmas. I'm probably mixing it up with Christmas, but there were still like these really nice traditions around the time of Easter. And we were talking last night about how Easter and Christmas and all of these different seasonal celebrations in North Europe are completely different because like now it's going into spring. So Easter is this like, yes, winter is finally dying and now we're gonna like be reborn into spring and like growth and greenery. Whereas Australia, it's the different. It's the opposite. We come out of summer and go into autumn, which is then starting to die. So our Easter traditions must be different. But then when you look at, like then when I came to Lithuania as a Catholic nation, and because I was involved in a church here that went by the church calendar, because my church didn't go by the church calendar when I was a kid, the church calendar plus Lithuania's like pagan roots, so they have these cool pagan celebrations and these cool Christian celebrations and then heaps of war memorials. And so here, because of the church calendar actually looks at Easter, so then you have Fat Tuesday or Pancake Tuesday here, which in other places is like a big party of like, yeah, we're going to celebrate and then we're going to go into Lent, which is like giving away something. And so when I got here the first year, I tried to do Lent, which was like giving away coffee, so I didn't drink coffee, but then I was sent like a kilogram of coffee from a friend in Germany, like a week into doing Lent, so I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't do Lent this year, so I started drinking coffee again. And then last year we gave up alcohol, and then this year we did alcohol again, and then I added certain social media and political podcasts to the things I would give up. So this whole idea of celebrating and then giving away something that allows you to think about what my life is or what part of my life is important because of these things I gave away. And so giving away Facebook especially, I intentionally asked myself, hey, you should just stop getting into arguments on Facebook for a while, just for a season, to see how it affects you. And it's been interesting because it affects my mental health heaps. Like, I'm less stressed, I'm less looking for a fight, and I'm more able to be like, no, I'm not going to engage because I know where this will go, which has been so interesting. It's so helpful. And then giving up alcohol has been interesting in quarantine because even Camilla said the other day, like, hey, if we were drinking this whole time, we'd probably be drinking a lot because there's nothing else to do. I was like, yeah, that's true. But it's also engaged us in thinking about what else do we like? Like, what snacks do we like? What drinks do we like? And we found some really nice drinks that are non-alcoholic, and then we've drank a lot more tea and joined this tea club, which is awesome. And so that part of Easter is great, like the review of what could I get rid of out of my life to make my life better, almost. And that's mixed into the church calendar idea of, like, Jesus died to take death away, and we all thought he was going to stay dead and all of his promises wouldn't come true. And then, oh, he rose. And so that means that life is abundant and life is forever and life is great and life is valuable, so we should look after ourselves and each other. Which I just love. And I love that the rhythm of celebration and looking forward to different parts of life. Which is also why I love seasons, because you get to celebrate different things in different seasons. Like, I love autumn because it's the perfect temperature and the leaves are changing, so it's really beautiful and it's quiet. But then I also love spring because things are opening and coming alive. And spring here is more like Australian autumn, so still good. And there's not as much hay fever as Australia. And then summers here are a little bit milder than Australia, but still I love summer because I get to wear shorts and I don't have to close the window and everything's like lovely. And then winter here I love because it's usually blanketed in snow, but not this year. And that's why I loved, like I was looking through some photos yesterday about my time in Norway, and Norway's snow was so good. Like, it was just covered in snow the whole winter. And I don't think the lake froze over, but most of the time the lake next to where we were living freezes over. So, yeah, thinking about Easter this year was weird because you would think growing up in a church I would have done Easter churchy, but I didn't at all. We just went camping and it was awesome, but it was in a different awesome way, and it was a different rhythm of like getting to see these families that we didn't usually see because they were all in different states, and we all grew up together, but we only saw each other once or twice a year. And so even this year, one of these guys called Dale, who maybe I remember when he was born. I don't know how much younger he is. I definitely remember his brother getting born. And so I've seen him grow up his whole life. And a few years ago he started travelling and he was studying and he got married. And now he's enacting the camp online because he didn't get to go because of quarantine. So he's eating the same meals that we ate at camp and trying to recreate the rhythms of camp at home. It's so good. And just, yeah, so getting to see all of us grow up and turn into the people we've turned into is also a cool part of the rhythm of Easter, of reviewing and looking back and seeing what I want to get rid of so that I can grow. And it's the same with when you... What's the technical word for cutting trees? And you snip. I don't know what that word is. There's a P word maybe? Anyway, when you cut trees so that they grow better, or when you cut off dead things to allow life to come back. I love that part of Easter. And I still think I have to do some of that, like reviewing and journaling and thinking. And quarantine has been interesting for that because you don't have many options. So why not review? And we went for a run yesterday and that was pretty good. And my arm still isn't 100%. So all of my I'm going to get fit and when I'm getting out of quarantine I'm going to hail bluff. But I can't because my body sucks. So instead I brewed ginger beer the other day. So good. Although I put too much cinnamon in. Don't put cinnamon in your ginger beer, it ruins everything. Now it tastes stupid, but I'll try again. And maybe I'll do my kombucha tomorrow. And I played my guitar for the first time in ages. Excuse me for yawning. But that's me. Easter. Good times. Review life. Do life good. In fact, one of my friends ranted at me yesterday about how we're destroying the earth and we should all change our ways and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, alright. Good review. Alright, Bumblebee Tuna.